Hey, my name is Bex. Welcome back to Chopping Block. It's Season 4, and we're entering the beta phase of Chopping Block. Now, what this means is I am starting from the ground up, meaning currently very few features from the original data pack are still in the game. It also means I need to redesign a couple things. But with redesigning things comes challenges. Before, I was completely fine just replacing spawn eggs with custom items to use in crafting recipes. However, I don't want to do that this time. I want to find a workaround for that, and I think I have. Chopping Block will be based on my bone for mod-sized data pack. However, this does not have built-in support for custom items that can be used in crafting recipes. Now, what do I mean by custom items that can be used in crafting recipes? Because that is a little confusing when I just say it, especially if you're new to data packs. So let's say we're using a poisonous potato as a custom item, as just a dummy item. So we can, in our minds, replace this poisonous potato with a custom item, say a ruby gemstone, right? And so if we make a recipe that uses rubies as a material, for instance an armor recipe, then the poisonous potatoes would be able to stand in place of the ruby, and you would be able to craft ruby armor using poisonous potatoes. But this goes one step further and has even more issues. Let's talk about it. Let's say we add a second custom item using the same dummy item. So we are using the same underlying dummy item for the cheap tin as we are using for our high value titanium. And we have a crafting recipe using our high value titanium to make the lodestone. But oh no, we can swap out that high value titanium for the cheap tin because it's the same underlying item. And to make matters worse, if your custom item has a custom model, and it should, then any recipes which use that custom item will show the model for the incorrect item because it's showing the model for the base item, even though the recipe uses the modified item. So how do we fix this? In Chopping Block, I fixed this by just basically removing spawn eggs and also structure blocks and command blocks, etc., to use those as custom recipes. In my very short-lived Devil's Food Minecraft series, I retextured the operator utilities blocks and added duplicates of them in the inventory in order to be able to use the operator utility blocks, such as command blocks, as custom items. However, people pointed out to me, and I do agree, that this has a couple flaws. The primary flaw being that these custom items would only be accessible in creative mode with operator utilities turned on. Granted, I could add them to the creative inventory using the engine, but that makes the item appear twice in the inventory because it appears once as a custom painting and then once as an item in the operator utility tab. So that kind of has a hole in it. However, there is one set of blocks that I have been using for data packs since 1.13. You old heads will remember it. Everyone who was a fan of Dragon will remember it. It's infested stone. It's never gonna go away. It's always gonna be useful. So what makes infested stone in particular useful? There are a lot of things that make infested stone perfect candidates that solve every issue that I was just talking about. They exist in the normal creative inventory, so replacing them and adding duplicates wouldn't add an unnecessary clone to the search bar. They share item and block models with other pre-existing blocks and items, so they could very easily... What the f... What? So I could very easily use the custom blocks engine to simply re-add them to the game without really any disruption to the vanilla survival or creative experience. Plus, thanks to the engine, I can disable the right-click place functionality of these blocks if I really want. And as an added bonus, They are all right next to each other in the functional blocks category. Come on, they're perfect. You gotta know they're perfect. They're amazing. And if I ever need more items than just these 7, which will definitely happen because I'm not good enough at game design to make a whole mod in which only 7 custom items are used in crafting recipes, there are a few other blocks that are creative only that I can use as well. For instance, bedrock, the reinforced deep slate, farmland, the end portals, suspicious sand and gravel. These are all blocks that exist in the world, but the player will likely never encounter the item form of. But these also have some issues. They're separated in the creative inventory. However, with this came another realization. I can just use normal blocks for this as well that aren't used in any crafting recipes. Now I know what you're thinking. Bex, if you use the items for these blocks as crafting ingredients, then doesn't that mean that these blocks will also be able to be used as crafting ingredients? And to that I say no, because when a custom block is added to the engine, even if it is a clone of a pre-existing block such as corals, if we turn on advanced tooltips, we can see that it is actually a barrier. So if we add duplicates of these blocks items into the game using the engine, those duplicate items would be barriers that would be unable to be used in any crafting recipe simply because compatibility and what I listed before. And having the duplicate items would remove the need for the original items in the creative inventory, allowing us to use those as custom crafting materials. I hope that made sense. I hope you were able to follow that. I'm really bad at explaining things. It's been a year since I made a chopping block video. Yeah, real talk, if I can be vulnerable here on my own YouTube channel, I've really been having a hard time getting motivation to work on this again because it has been a year and I've been working on so many projects behind the scenes, like with my band and things. So thank you guys so much for your patience. I know it's been an entire year since I uploaded anything good. I don't have anything else to say. I'm just... Fuck, dude. It's hard to come back to YouTube. Now, why did I go on that whole rant about, like, custom items and infested stone and coral and a bunch of crap that no one cares about? Why did I do that? Why is there water down there? And the answer to that is because we're just starting over. And because of that, there are a couple things that I want to change early in the progression. Okay, I'm not at the point of the data pack where anything looks pretty yet, so please bear with me with these demonstration items. So how it worked in the original version of Chopping Block was you would right-click on a composter, it would fill up with dirt, you would get the dirt, and then you would have more dirt, and that's how you would renew dirt. And this worked. It was really quick and easy for the player. However, there are a couple issues with it. The first thing is, why does composting mulch act differently than composting any other item in the game? What makes mulch special? Why does it give you dirt and not bone meal? That's kind of lame. It's not intuitive. And so that's why it needs to change. But another big reason why it needs to change is that if you put mulch into a hopper going into a composter, then it wouldn't compost into dirt, it would compost into bone meal. And that was like, hey, what? So what I'm thinking is just a basic crafting recipe, 9x9 mulch, gives you 1 piece of dirt. That's really the only option I see here. And this way you could use an auto crafter to renew mulch through a series of game mechanics which have yet to be implemented into the data pack. Isn't it fun when you just started from the beginning, right? In episode 1 of season 3, I was like, you know, making major changes to the pack and adding really cool features. And now I'm just talking to you about what item to use for the like 3rd item you encounter in the game. But it's okay. This is necessary. Learn with me, grasshopper. Wax on, wax off, no copper. Guys, can you tell I'm tired? So anyway, I'm gonna come back tomorrow, and when tomorrow happens, I'm gonna hopefully add an item to the game. Don't hold me to that. All right, guys, I did it. I added duplicates of the infested stone blocks, One problem is, that. However, I think that's something I'll be able to fix with the help of someone who actually deserves a shout out. Really quickly, I want to give a shout out to Kubaku. I hope I am saying that name correctly, from my Discord server. They helped me with the custom font necessary to do these little item name boxes. I could definitely make this smaller. That is way larger than it needs to be. So I'm gonna talk to them and hopefully we're gonna get this sorted. If not, oh well, I mean shoot. It works well enough, right? Who cares? I also added stone chunks and mulch to the creative inventory, as well as respective crafting recipes using each. And yes, even though these are infested stone and infested cobblestone, you cannot use infested stone or infested cobblestone for either of these recipes. Isn't that cool? I feel so awesome right now. This also makes the early game of Chopping Block mostly feature complete, at least the very early game. I still need to update magic machines. I'm gonna be doing that in the next episode. Hey, watch out for that. But I think this is a really good start. Also, now I can remove the example items and blocks from the creative inventory because, yeah, all of this was done using the Bone MSD, just the base pack and the reference pack that I made. Because, yeah, I needed the reference pack. That's why I made it. So yeah, Chopping Block back in full swing, coded from the ground up to be optimized and way better. Also, I'll be able to actually upload this to Modrinth and stuff because it'll just be one data pack. Actually, let me show you this. So this is the data folder of the data pack, and as you can see, everything is separated into its own folder. Small Beginnings has its own folder, Tempest Machines has its own folder, everything has its own folder. This makes it way easier for me to organize things, and it removes the need to merge everything at the very end. I think I've done that in every season of Chopping Block, just shown what the file structure of it looks like, so yeah, I'll carry that tradition onward. But anyway, that's all I've got time for today. My name is Bex. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new and you want to see more like that. Thanks for watching, and as always, thanks for watching. Alright, I'll see you later.